Well, I have been grafting some black sapote, and I actually used two different methods. One was sort of prepping scions in a similar way to how I prep mango scions, and then wrapping them with buddy tape and doing either top cleft grafts or side veneer grafts. So I did a couple that way, but another way, a very common way of doing black sapote grafting is with bags, and that is with leaving part of the leaf on the scion that isn't prepped, of course, and then putting it, like grafting it on a plant and putting a bag over it. So I did some grafts both ways. I can tell you I am not really a fan of the bag method because in order to check if the scion's doing well, there's labor involved. You have to take off the bag. This one unfortunately looks like it did not take. Looks pretty brown to me. Yeah, I haven't been checking on it that much because, in order to, get the bag back on, you have to get the sticks. These are bamboo stakes that keep the bag off of the foliage. So you have to have some way of keeping the bag, making a tent basically. So that one didn't turn out very well. And let's see about this one. No idea. Well, that one still has its leaf from ages ago. So the scion's still green, and the leaf is upside down actually, but there it is. So that one has to go back into its tent, and then I put these in a little bit shadier location because I think of like this little mini greenhouse that I built. I don't want it to get too hot for the plant. So anyway, then, when you're putting the bag back, you have to make sure you don't, interfere with that little graft that you want it to support. So anyway, this is the part that I sort of lose patience with in getting the tent back on. So I put that down. Let's see. Sort of like Christmas. What's underneath the package? Oh, whoa! Looks like good news. So I think this one's ready for being out of its little tent. It's just a lot of sprouts coming out. One of the things though is that there are also sprouts coming out above these leaves. You don't want the plant, the base plant, to grow at all. So definitely just knock off those buds. There's one right over here. Just take that right off. So it's usually the top leaves that form those buds. Everything else looks fine. So since it's a cloudy day, I think I can just keep that right out here in the open. This one was our fail, so I'm just going to put that on the ground. Put this where it gets a little bit of shade from those buddy plants. Let's see. Well, this one looks good so far, but it's not showing any new growth. Leaves are still on, excellent sign, but really want to have new growth coming out from somewhere. Unfortunately, the only new growth that I see is on the rootstock, this base plant, and there's a little tiny bud emerging. So as long as I have this bag off, I'll just knock that bud off. It's tiny, but you know, they just get bigger. So as I say, that one is looking pretty good. Anything that still has green leaves on it after this amount of time, it's been a couple months, I think, that's good news. So here we go again, putting the bag. This one I didn't use a stake for because this seemed like it was going to protect it, you know, the shoot from the base plant, but I suppose I should try and use some stakes, because it would be a shame for it to be alive for all of those months and then get knocked off just from carelessness. I'll try and make this a little bit easier on myself. Put those so they're closer together. You can use other things besides bamboo stakes when you use this method. You know, some people use hoops and a wire hoop, and that's pretty effective also. But this happened to be the easiest thing around at the time that I was grafting, so that's what I used. Yeah, downside of the stakes is I think that they get hung up on the bag gets hung up on the stakes a little bit easier than if you were using a hoop. Now, usually what happens with these bags is that they go all the way down to the soil. You know, you can tell there's a lot of humidity in the bag. It's just, you know, water dripping down. And in this situation where these plants get watered twice a day, I don't think it's that important to have it on, you know, like tucked into the bottom. But it's, you know, this I think will work out okay. So anyway, that was the black sapote grafting project. We've had a couple of fails, but a lot of ones that are good. As far as the difference between bagging the black sapote and you know, just using the buddy tape and preparing the scion, I like the second method a lot better. It's just easier to tell if you're getting sprout outs from the rootstock when you just have buddy tape on it. And also, it's just easier not to have to deal with the bags. And of course, if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you know I'm an environmental nut, and it just sort of disturbs me to have all these bags that are basically one-use bags. You don't want to have any sort of mold or anything going on in the bag before you put it onto a plant. So that's a major downside for me. But the bottom line, the good news is both methods work, and I had a couple of fails, but a lot of the grafts have taken. So I'm looking forward to having some Berniker black sapote plants.